Good evening. No, it isn't. Oh dear. Good afternoon. So I was just checking I was in the right place, and I am. So I'm going to leave this like this. Hello. My name is Charli Wall, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm coming in live into my Facebook group because I put a poll up in the group, and I wanted to hopefully, fingers crossed, do some daily videos between now and the 17th of October, where I want to do another intake of my She Finds Freedom program, my 8-week signature program. And the poll has had quite a few ticks, and people have also messaged me. And so I'm going to try and go through all of the themes that have been ticked and do these vlogs and hopefully get them on my podcast so that you might find them helpful. Now, I just want to caveat that by saying that I go much deeper in my 8-week She Finds Freedom program, and it's a wonderful program that will really help you to see what I'm talking about and point you to your own innate well-being and your own innate health. Now, for those of you who have been listening to me for a while, some of you will have watched the video of me being coached in 2018 by Jan and Chip Chipman, who are what's called first generation 3 principles practitioners or teachers or educators in the field of innate health, or it's also called subtractive psychology. And so if you have watched that video of me being coached, you can also see and probably feel in my energy the difference in me now compared to then. If you haven't seen that video of me being coached in 2018, please just send me a message and I will send you the link to watch it, because it's on a private YouTube link. The reason I mention that is because I've created the program to help more of you see and understand what it is that I'm teaching and what it is that I'm pointing to. And you can physically and visibly and probably energetically feel and see the difference in me, my voice, my appearance, and everything that I am now compared to what I was then. So the first, somebody sent me a private message, and if you do want me to speak to something specific over the next week, please send me a private message. I know some of you don't really want to be visible on the group, and that's absolutely fine. I know I answered a Q&A down below in the Facebook group and said, if you're worried, if you have anxiety about the group calls during the program, you don't have to turn up, and you don't have to even be a face on the screen if that's something that's worrying you. I know that was worrying another lady that got in touch with me. But I really like this question because, well, it's not really a question, but she wanted me to speak to this. The lady wanted me to speak to this because a lot of people who, maybe have disordered body image, people who speak to that, who maybe coach in that arena, generally generalize and call it a weight issue potentially. And that's not the case for lots of women. So this particular woman has written to me and she said, "Morning, Charli. I'm really not very good at sharing on a public forum, and that's okay. You can always message me privately. But regarding your poll about themes for the program, rather than body image, I think myself and other women I work with are troubled about general attractiveness and how women are judged by their appearance. I find that most body image discussions center around weight, and that is not a problem for me. Though not so much now that I'm in my 60s, or it's just different. I feel invisible at times. I feel very judged on how I look facially. Having a bad overbite, I have had people comment negatively to me and therefore felt not good enough, quote unquote. Women I work with often feel the same, so I thought I'd message. Well, I just want to thank that lady because I think that's a really, it's one I know very deeply. And some of my one-to-one clients have experienced this insecurity, for want of a better word, over how they look. Now, for me, that was long-standing from being quite young. But the message I get, or I can only assume, I think the lady that's writing the message is maybe saying that it's since she's become older and she feels invisible. And could I speak to that? So the essence of what I teach, and you'll have heard me say this if you've been listening to anything that I say along the last few weeks or the last few years, is that there's something inside you that is not broken. So I don't think you're broken. I don't think there's anything wrong with you, even if you think that's the case, even if you think you've been through quite a lot of stuff. And again, if you've been listening to me, you'll know that I have been through a lot of stuff that was outside of my control. Now, one of the ways insecurity showed up for me in my life was in the way that I looked, and my face was the most thing that I was worried about. And then secondary, I focused a lot of concern and worry and preoccupation with not only my face, but my body. And again, a lot of my clients have and do struggle with the same insecurity. Now, insecurity can show up in many ways, in many unique ways for different women and for different people. It just so happens that for me, I deeply understand this particular one because I just do, because it was an experience that I had. And the thing about you and most people, so some people's insecurity may show up as feeling shy and not being unable to speak in public or speak in a social situation. So they may drink or take drugs or, do or not go. So they socially isolate. Other people's insecurity might show up as, hoarding. So hoarding lots of stuff. So I'm safe if I'm hoarding. My insecurity showed up in many, many, many different ways. Now, if we are identified with what we look like, and that really matters to us, and we are comparing ourselves to what's out there, we might have an opinion that we don't compare very highly. And the same thing's always at play here. You have a brain. Your brain is a machine. Your brain is always looking for evidence of your theory being true. So your theory being that you're invisible or you're ugly or you don't look right or whatever it might be. At the core of that, there's usually two core things that I find are pretty universal with anyone that I speak to, male or female, is that A, I don't feel good enough, and B, I don't know I'm safe. So the not good enough thing shows up and your brain finds the evidence of your truth. Now, when I was younger, a few people, this wasn't just one person, but a few people said that I was ugly. And so because younger me, didn't feel good enough and was struggling with grief and traumatic grief and PTSD, that was something else that I could add to my huge long list of something else was wrong with me because I was ugly and I didn't fit in. That was my theory. I don't think that was the truth, right? It was potentially someone's version of their truth or someone's opinion, but it's not the truth. My looks, my exterior have changed from baby me to now 50-year-old me and everything in between. And this is the thing, this is the important thing to try and get a feel for. You on the inside, your innate well-being, I think you've got, now know I've got, your own innate wisdom, your own inner knowing, which is probably stronger than you realize if you can pay attention to it. That part of you that's always been there, that remembers little you to you now, that's had every experience that you've ever had in your entire life. That part of you is unchangeable. And I hope you get a feel for that. It's the part of you that remembers every part of your life or significant events or happy memories or sad memories or traumatic memories. It's that part of you that's always been your little trusty companion, if you like. That part of you is unchangeable. Now, the rest of me and the rest of you, body, face, everything in this kind of form is changeable from birth to death. On an internal level, on a cellular level, things are changing all the time. Your bones are changing cellularly. Your heart is changing cellularly. Your hair is changing continually. Everything is changing. Everything goes through a birth, life, death cycle inside of you. So my body is essentially a different body from the one 10 years ago because my skin changes, right? Oh, I was going to cough there. It's me. So if I'm identifying with this core belief that I don't look right or that I'm ugly or that there's something wrong with my appearance, essentially that is what I will experience. That is what I will see. And my brain will keep finding evidence for that theory. It's called a forward feedback loop. I spent years misidentifying with this external part of me because I was looking for validation. I was looking for love. I was looking for acceptance. I was looking to fit in. I didn't know who I was underneath the stories that I was telling myself. And all of those stories that I was telling myself were based on my theory that I was broken, that I wasn't good enough, and that there was something wrong with my appearance because I'd heard other people say things to me and I had collected little things that people had said to me and kind of made them part of my identity. But that's the misunderstanding. We are misidentifying with the stories that we tell ourselves. So this isn't necessarily about weight, and a lot to do with what we see in the mirror versus what other people see. Now, most people, and I know this to be true, and I've spoken a lot about this to clients and friends. If I have a good friend and I love somebody and I enjoy their company, I kind of see past this, right? I see past this and I see to them, their life force, if you like, their spirit. And that's why, and this was me, I had a lot of skin problems, huge amounts of skin problems, but I also used to pick my face. So whenever I was stressed, I'd pick my face, and I also used to get quite hideous eye infections, which again, if you watch the video of me being coached in 2018, you'll see exactly the effect, the impact that stress had on my face. It was always my face, but I would pick, so I was completely paranoid about my face. I can't remember where I was going with that. Let me have a think. Yeah, if I have a belief, which is a thought carried through time of a story of who I think I am based on my looks, that is what I will see. And that is what I think others will see. Because I'm looking through this lens of my life throughout my whole life. And I will automatically think that other people are seeing exactly what I see. Now, that isn't the truth either. So that's where I was going with this, is that for years I had bad skin and I was so paranoid about it. And I'd say, when I'd meet someone, I'd say, oh my God, look at my skin. And I would be the one pointing it out. Yet when I had friendships and they would say that to me, I would be like, I wouldn't have even noticed that had you not pointed it out. Because most people are in their own thoughts anyway. Most people are thinking about themselves in a, like, how do I compare? Do I sound stupid? Not with close friends. You're comfortable and you can relax and you don't have that sense of preoccupation. But most of us, in all honesty, are thinking about ourselves. And there's a brilliant quote from Sydney Banks, which has become my new favourite quote. And so you may have heard me speak this, but he says, humility isn't thinking less of myself. It's thinking of myself less. And once I realised that my appearance really doesn't matter, it took it off of my mind. Now, it wasn't as simple as that, and I have been through a fairly lengthy process of looking at this from all angles and, really seeing the truth that my appearance actually doesn't matter, and it's only in my head anyway, and everyone's version of the truth will be very different. But if I'm carrying a deep-rooted insecurity about what I think I look like, I'm the one carrying it. I'm the one who is feeling that. I remember going to a kettlebell training. It's called Strong First, and it was like a 3-day training. Hideous thing. It was really, really hard. But I was so anxious about what I looked like, and I was anxious anyway. I kind of hid in the corner and didn't speak to anyone. And then at the end of the 3 days, when their photos came out, the professional photos, there wasn't many of me at all. And that was there's my evidence. Oh, it's because I'm ugly. That's literally what I thought. And, oh, you're not photogenic, and all of the things that I would tell myself. Whereas now, every week in my free group, I post a selfie and call it Selfie Saturday exactly for this reason. Not because I'm vain, not because I want to see a picture of myself, but because for me, I rarely had photos taken of me. I didn't like it. I was awkward. I wouldn't smile. I'd hide in the back because I felt so uncomfortable with what I looked like. But it was a preoccupation. And it was so unnecessary for me. Now I see that for me now, it doesn't actually matter. And I was talking to a wonderful client this week. And she's someone who experiences similar thinking, but in her own way. And she said to me this week, I had a new thought. And now this is a lifetime belief that she's had, that she doesn't have a good face, right? And she's been battling me for her theory for a very long time. And it was the first time in our coaching relationship that she said to me, I suddenly had a thought that it doesn't actually matter. And there was something inside her that heard that for the first time. And then it went. It was like a little glimpse of something that she saw for herself. It didn't come from me, it came from within her. And that is extraordinary because that's now my experience. I don't care. And I do Zoom calls all day long. I do these Facebook Lives. I've kind of gotten used to my face, but equally, I just don't think about it as much anymore because I know it doesn't matter. It's not a reflection on me and who I am as a person. It's not a reflection on my work. It's not a reflection on anything. What it did do is it held me back and kept me small and kept me in fear and kept me not speaking my truth and kept me doing my habits and addictions and various different forms of behavior that I was doing to try and negate the uncomfortable feelings. So to the lady that wrote that message to me, I really, really, really understand. And my program dives deep into exactly what I've been talking about and how we misidentify with certain aspects of our appearance or personality as being wrong or bad or shameful or all the other things. She said she feels invisible. Feeling invisible is a state of mind. And it's coming from, again, that forward feedback loop, right? Nobody's looking at me, therefore I'm invisible. And I think a lot of women feel like that when I've heard a lot of women say that to me when they get to my age, our age, whatever age. You may have felt that when you were younger, but I know more women tend to feel it when they go through the menopause or they reach a certain age. But that's because it's in there. It's a seed of doubt in your mind that you're identifying with, and then you're finding evidence for your theory. And your theory is just in your mind, and it's not the truth. And it's, again, a misidentification with something on the outside that's nothing to do with what's on the inside. It's not a reflection of who you are in any way. So I'd encourage you to send me a message. Let's have a chat if you're interested in learning more about this and my 8-week Finding Freedom program, because honestly, I created it to try and point people back to this truth for themselves. I'm a bloody good coach and I enjoy doing it, the group coaching calls, and I know that I can help you see something different around this. So if you want to and you're up for it, let me know. Let's have a conversation. And it'd be good to have you on the program. So that's it for today. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more on the other themes. Let me know if you listen to this on the Facebook group. Let me know if you're listening later. And I hope to speak to you soon or see you soon. Take care.